Deferred student loans. This question comes up a lot. Occasionally, we'll do loans for people that are students, or if a student goes to apply to get a home loan and they're currently in college, or maybe they're part-time in college. That student loan is going to affect your debt-to-income ratio, or DTI. The reason why it does is because the lender has to think at some point you're actually going to be making those payments. If you're applying for an FHA loan, they're a lot more lenient with a student loan. As long as that student loan is not going to hit within 12 months, they won't count that debt against you. If it's within 12 months, then they're going to count that debt against you. The typical rule of thumb is they'll use 1% of that balance as a payment. Most times a student loan that's deferred will show up on your credit with no payment at all. They'll just say what the balance is. But depending on the loan program, whether it's FHA or conventional, and the timing that you actually go to graduate, that loan may hurt you in your debt-to-income ratio. They may have to count it against you. Student loans with deferment. Bad student loans. Hey, I know, there's somebody out there with one. It seems like every time we look at someone's credit, we see someone that hasn't been paying their student loans in a while. That can be a bad thing if you're trying to apply for a mortgage. In fact, there's a good chance you're not even going to get a mortgage if you haven't been paying your student loan. A student loan, more often than not, is a federal debt. So if the federal government is paying you some money to go to school and you're not returning that, they're not going to let you buy a house. So it's important on a student loan that you have a good payment history. The plus is, if you haven't paid your student loans in a while, there's some help for you. First off, you should always try to contact your student loan company and say, hey, I fell into some issues, or I had some problems, or I didn't have a job, or whatever the case is. Make sure you keep them informed. Because of the new reform for student loans, you can easily get it consolidated, or the payments reduced, or even maybe some of it forgiven, depending on what your current income is and current situation. The important thing is, if you want to buy a house, you have to have 12 months of current student loan payments. Otherwise, you're not going to get that house of your dreams. Bad student loans. When you're getting a new loan and you're deciding on what product's going to be the best for you, if you have student loans on your credit, one product may be better for you than another. For example, if I have student loans and I know I'm not going to graduate for another 2 years, I might lean towards an FHA or a government loan. The reason is they're going to show that that loan is deferred and they're not going to count that payment against me in my mortgage. On top of that, an FHA loan will allow you to borrow more money. Whereas if I'm going to look at a conventional loan and I know there's some time before I actually graduate, they're still going to count that debt against me. And conventional has a lower debt-to-income ratio as a requirement. So you can typically buy more house with a government loan over a conventional loan if you have a lot of student loans. That being said, if you're going to get a government loan and your student loans are going to come due within 12 months, we're still going to hit you for that debt, and thus still lower what you can afford debt-to-income ratio-wise with a government loan. So there's two things to remember. The product type will vary, whether it's conventional or government. And then the other critical factor is, when do I have to start paying? When do I graduate? Am I more than 12 months out, or am I less than 12 months out? FHA versus conventional with student loans. Thank you for watching.